Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
What do you make of Kentucky Downs opening card?
It's pricey,
Well, the card, yeah, I think it's going
to
to
say
be.
the least.
Woo! What kind of a day today is going to be, Tom? I don't know, man. Now
Yeah,
you were able to get the scratches. I was not, so I'll have to start using my Naira account. But when we were there, this is why I haven't used it, and I don't know if I'm ever going to use it because when we were there, you remember, they had that booth outside said put $200 in, you get a $200 bonus. Remember?
Right.
I talked with the lady who was there, and she said the same thing. And then I get home, and they said, no, you got to put 200 in, bet 400, and then you get the bonus. And I was like, well, the lady told me something completely different on site, and it's not the other $200. It's just I feel like that. The representatives, if they're telling you A, it's A, no matter if it's really B, because the old adage, the customer's always right. And if the people who represent the company tell you something, it should be something. Do you agree?
Well, and that was my understanding. And also the fact that's what happened to me when I did it, when I opened my Naira account many years ago. So exactly what you described, I got, not the 400. I never heard that.
Yeah, so you had to put 200 in, bet 400, and then you get the 200. So I'm not pleased at all with the folks from Naira. I'm not telling you what to do. I can't do that, but I'm just telling you I don't know that I'll ever use them. In any case.
I don't blame you.
So big card today. Before we get to the card today, last night, Sean and Jamie had on Hugo Torres and Jordan Gatlin, a jockey trainer combination. Fun show. Always fun with Jamie and Sean. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, while you're here at Horse Racing Radar, when we're done here with Kentucky Downs, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. So when we go live, you're notified. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You see it scrolling on the bar below. Are you ready to tackle this? I don't even know what to make of the card. What's your strategy for today? Are you going to do vertical bets? You're going to do exactas? How would
I
you
generally
this?
play exactas here, and then anything at a price, I'll make a win place betting. And then if it's a really big odds, I'll go show two, just to cover myself. I generally don't play trifectas. I should point out, last year all the pick fives paid over $40,000. So you better be creative if you're playing the pick five. If you play short priced horses, probably not going to win.
You have to throw prices in here. There's just no question that you have to throw that in there.
Yeah. So if you don't, I think you are going to be a very sorry person.
Yeah, I think that's probably putting it, politely, I would think, Tom, to be honest with you. All right, so let's go ahead and get cracking on Kentucky Downs opening day card. Let's see what we got cooking here. So let's first, before we do that, Tom, we do know that Kentucky Downs is a quirky kind of track, right?
No, not for us Foreign Friday people.
No, but here's kind of what it looks like.
We got plenty of quirky tracks.
This one looks like one of those things that you put like keys in. What are they called? I have one around here somewhere, like those egg-shaped things with the little latch in it. That's kind of what it looks like to me. So you can see that
somebody described it as, this is an old map because they don't run 6 furlongs anymore. They run 6.5.
6.5, which would be
6.5, 7 mile, and you don't have the mile and 5/16, which we have a race of that, and that starts at the finish line.
All right, so it's going to be a fun day, Thomas. Yeah. Race number 1
hopefully profitable.
Well, I don't think you're really going to have to hit a lot of races to make money in this. You just hit a couple of good ones, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So race number 1 is 6.5 furlongs. They're all on the turf, so we don't have to make that designation in here. As far as
and
turf
if they're not, there's something strange going on.
Yeah, they'll be running in the parking lot then.
Yeah.
But 6.5 furlongs, there's a lot. Most of the races today are either at 6.5 furlongs or a mile. As you mentioned, there are a couple of different distances in there. But 6.5 furlongs last year, obviously, 23 races, 17 of which were won from off the pace. 2 managed to go wire to wire. The rail only scored once in 23 races, but 2 and 3 somehow were the best position to be in. 4 through 70, you carried a penalty. 8 and out, you had a little bit of a bonus. So, Tom, I don't know if you've seen me doing these lately, but I don't know to what degree this is going to help today. But if you look at race, this is race number 2. So we don't have to do race 1 because race 1 has all of
Race
these.
1 is nearly impossible to do.
Yeah, you have all of those horses in there with
a lot of first timers.
Yeah.
The other thing to remember is if the course is firm and no give to the outside posts in the 6.5 furlong races, and the front runners tend to have the advantage. I have found but of course that'll make a fool out of me in the first race, and the 2 will win. But nevertheless, if we do get some rain, then things change, and the closers have a better chance. And if it gets really heavy, then the closers almost guarantee you they're going to have a much better chance.
Right.
I'm assuming the rail is set out today. I did not look that up yet, but they usually start with the rail out and then take it away as we get towards the end of the meet.
All right. So it looks to me like they still don't in the Kentucky Downs. It doesn't really say in terms of what the weather looks like there today. Weather's fair.
Last time I looked, cloudy and no rain.
All right, so we should probably get a good track.
Mid 80s.
So for race number 1, Tom, what do you got?
I took number 7, Dream Roll, as my top choice. It's a first-time starter with consistent works. I especially like that one work in the mud at Churchill Downs in July. Sire-wise, the sire has sired 3 of 21 first-time winners as a 2-year-olds, and that's Oscar for Performance, which was a pretty good turf horse in his day. The mare was unraced. She has 6 foals and only 1 won. Definitely a long shot, but as I like to say, it's Kentucky Downs. And
I don't think there's a such thing as a long shot
races. No. Let's face it, going for a maiden race, going for $150,000. Yeah, that's pretty good money.
Yeah, I think you can almost do random number generator and you'll do all right here, but go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Number 9, Fabulous D is my next choice. Ran a first race not so good at Ellis, but it was also a race that was moved off the turf. Since then, it worked 47-2 breezing at Churchill Downs training track. And then there was I would call a maintenance race after that. Of course, our sire, which is Exaggerator, he won the Preakness, a couple other races on the slop. But so far, he has not produced a lot of good turf horses. But we'll see. Mare was unraced, but 7 of the foals have raced. 5 of them are winners, and 2 of them won on the turf. And they only paid $5,000 for this horse. So we're not talking about an expensive one. And if Jaro Sharp did his shopping correctly, this could be a nice bargain. Not even if it finishes second today, they paid for the horse, or third or fourth. And 6 through 12 get $1,000 just for running. Number 10, Canopy Street is my final choice. The first start was good. It was okay. Then it went some even works. This is a Wesley Ward horse. The sire is a Triple Crown winner, and he has also produced some nice ones. American Pharaoh produced some nice winners, and they are winning at a 12% on the first-time starter rate. So that's pretty good.
And strangely, they do well on turf.
And they do, which he probably should run on turf. Mare won her first start at Gulfstream on the dirt, and then she also ran second in a stakes race, and that was on the all-weather. So she was a little versatile herself. One foal to race, and that one won on its third start. But interesting enough, it was at the $40,000 claiming maidens area. So, and the mare, of course, has some siblings who've won on the dirt. So this is going to be an interesting one for Ward, if this is the right place for it, or does it really belong on the dirt?
So for me, I'm going to start, you ended with the Ward horses. I'm going to start with both the Ward horses, the 12 and the 10. Seems to me like he's an expert, or at least one that does really well, focuses on the babies. The 2-year-olds do good for him. He does well coming out of the gate with the horse. So I'm putting the 12 and the 10, first-time starters. Let's see what one of those I feel like one of those 2 Wesley Ward horses are going to win. The 4-horse Flower Drew, I'm playing all trainer angles here in this particular spot. Steve Margolis, 27% winner first time on the grass, 19% winner when he goes dirt to turf. And this horse was decently bet in its debut. Comments said just outkicked at the end, so should be more fit in race number 2. And then finally, number 3, Desert Tempest. I think the one's probably the better horse here, but I'm going to try to play away from favorites. And certainly you have to play away from the rail that only won 1 of 23 times last year. So I'm going to play the 3 based upon some good works and hope that that one horse doesn't get the better of us, Thomas. Race 2 is 1 mile, as I mentioned.
Oh, we should also point out in these races, the average payoff for win price is about $17, and the average exacta is $66.
Which makes sense to why we should probably bet exactas and stay away from the vertical bets. But at a $40,000 average pick 5, you got to take a swing at that. And Tom and I will take a swing at that in a moment. So race 2 at 1 mile, Tom, as I mentioned, started to mention, 22 races, 14 of which were won from off the pace. Only 1 of the 22 managed to go from front to the finish line all the way without being passed. Again, we find only 1 winner from the rail in 22 starts. 2 and 3 only had 2 wins, so there's clearly an anti-inside bias. 4 through 7, you get a bonus, and by far, if you got an 8 or out, it is the best place to be. Looking at this particular race time, you see a whole ton of horses in here. I mean, it's kind of interesting to me. Left arrow horse with the 6, meaning it's a pressure closer that without really running hard can get towards the front. Same with the 4. Just big jumbled up fields. The 15, if it gets in, should get a really good trip, I look like. I added today some O's in here, you see. Yeah. And the O's are the best combinations of early and late pace. Just got a feeling that the horses that are going to do the best in here today and at Kentucky Downs are going to be the most versatile. So horses that can get to the front or be close to the front, tactical, and then have a little bit of late kick probably are the ones you're going to want to keep your eye on. All right, Tom. So race number 2, who do you like?
Well, the average win bet on this race is $12, and the exacta is $40. That's the average. So with that, I took number 5, Argentino Elo. Last race was in April. It ran 3rd at Keeneland, an allowance race. And the best way to describe the race, it was a slow start, and I thought it was a slow finish. Mm-hmm. With that, from that, it has a series of races, works of 9 of them actually, and most of them are pretty good. This is a class dropper, the first time into a claimer. The last time it won was in 2021. That was at the Fairgrounds. So I'm picking this one off the drop and the fact that it has really some nice works. Number 9, Artie's Rumor is my next choice. Won last race at Indiana by 6 lengths in an optional claimer for 30s. Claimed in February for 25, and that was also a winning effort. And it came back after that claim, and finished 5th and lost by 2.5 lengths. The works were good, and is this a targeted race for the trainer? I think so. This is a 7-year-old. He's got 37 times he's been on the turf. He's got 13 wins, 2 seconds, and 6 thirds. He's generally good off a layoff, and why not? Mm-hmm. Finally, I took 6B here. Tried Stakes Company last out at Monmouth and ran 5th. So the best way to describe the race is that sat 5th, ran 5th, and didn't do anything more than that. Prior 2 races were win. One was at Belmont, and the other one was at Delaware. I don't think distance is an issue because he ran a mile, and at his maiden, that was a win in his maiden. And then he has also run some longer distance since, so the mile should suit. Mm-hmm. He's bounced around various levels, claiming, optional claimers. They don't know what they have exactly still, but I have to put him in there because he looks like he's good enough to get something.
So for me, if the 15 gets in, I don't know. I didn't see scratches. It did not get in. All right, so the 15 is not in, Thomas says. So let me just make this and move it over here. And then in my picks over at horseracingtoday.net, you will see the my full picks. They include more horses. But I guess with the 15 out, which is going to change my upcoming pick 5 as well that Tom has out there that he changed up on me today. I'm going to go with Artie's Rumor as my top pick. Charles agrees with both of us, does like the 9 horse as well in this spot. Artie's Rumor, I feel like PC horses are the way to go. As I mentioned in the first race, horses that can tactically be close to the front if the pace is too slow, and if it's too fast, have some late run to them. 9 horse fits that bill. He can pick and choose where he wants to be on the track. Does have the top late pace figures in the field. Second best combination of early and late pace punch. The 5 horse, Argentillo, tends to get off to a slow start, but when you look at those workouts for trainer Connor Murphy, looks like he has him running to get a little bit out of the gates a little bit faster. Bullets in 3 out of the last 4 works. And if you look back at some previous workouts, that's a pretty unusual habit for that horse. Usually more maintenance workouts than really like pressing for speed. Got a feeling that Argentello won't be so far back today and does have some of the best late punch as well. Number 7, Hawk of War. Again, I want to play away from favorites today, but you can't ignore that the horse has run at the distance 6 times, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. And this is one that's right in the post position wheelhouse. Be Here, Tom's second choice. No, 6 horse, third choice. Yes, third choice is my 4th choice now, thanks to scratches. And again, that's going to mess up my my pick 5, but we can make a change on the fly for the pick 5. Race number 3, Tom, as we go back to this one is a little bit different. This one's a mile and 5/16. Optional claiming $62,500, so really kind of, but a purse of $170,000. 7 races, 5 of which were won off the pace. Interestingly here, though, the 2 that did not win from off the pace went wire to wire. There's a strong rail and a strong 8+ bias. The 2 and the 3 are almost fair. 4 through 7 get heavily penalized. And if you look at race number 3, this is interesting to me. In terms of pace setup, there are no horses that show a history of getting to the front. I mean, you can see that clear as day. Everybody wants to be, or the majority of the horses want to be towards the back of the field. I think that really opens it up for the 3 horse. I think he's a pretty heavy favorite, but he does have a plus advantage at the 4 furlong marker and at the 6 furlong marker. Probably going to be on the lead, probably with all these closers in the field, going to get an easy pace. The 5 horse here does have the best combination of early pace and late pace and has a plus late pace advantage, meaning at least 5 points better than the next closest horse, Tom. So can make up a lot of ground late. How do you see this one playing out?
The average win price in this type of race is $9. Mm-hmm. The average exacta pays $26.
And this is your best bet, right?
And I also want to point out that this is a 2-turn. This has the first turn that plays a role in this race. And that first turn is a very tight turn. And if you flash up the map again,
I closed
it. We'll say you did. We'll virtualize it. And that it tends to favor the inside horses because you can lose a number of lengths if you don't ride it correctly. And in past years, not in recent years, but in past years when it was dueling grounds and then changed to Kentucky Downs later. But I used to just bet on the foreign jockeys a lot because they actually knew how to ride these kinds of courses where the American jockeys really hadn't figured it out. They're a lot better now because Rosario was the chop jock last year. But the Adam Bissett's and those people watch. If they've got a decent horse, they have a better idea of how to ride these courses, and that's where they started. So keep that in mind. With that, I took number 7, who's my best bet of the day. It's Federalist Papers. I ran an even race last out at Belmont in June, and I think it was against a much stronger group than's in this bunch. It won at Keeneland, and the non-winners have won other than, and it was a 1.5-mile race. Layoff seemed to be the norm with this horse, and good works see good form. This horse was transferred from Chad Brown to Brendan Walsh, and I do like Brendan Walsh. I think he gets good horses, and I think he knows how to handle them really well.
Definitely an under-the-radar trainer.
And I think the distance is a good distance for this horse. Number 6, Verbum, I guess.
Mhm.
My next choice, won last time out at Delaware from coming off the pace. Well, we know that's going to be the case in this race. Colonial Downs effort was okay, but he had to be steadied later in the later stages of this race, and I think that with that he lost any chance of winning. This is an interesting horse because last year this horse was at Kentucky, ran Kentucky Downs, ran in a stakes race, a much higher level than this one, and ran second. So, this is to me one of those types of horses that will pick up some money.
Mhm.
I don't see it winning, but I think you got to put it into your exacta trifecta because I think you're going to find it on the board and it'll do something. Finally, I did take the favorite, number 3, Fairchild is my final choice. Last effort was a winning effort at Lone Star, got bumped and then drew clear. Ran 3 races previously at Churchill with mixed results. And the second was probably the best of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good record on the turf. He's got 6 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. My big question with this horse, frankly, is the distance because this is the farthest he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that, play into some of these other horses that tend to be closers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think for third, yes. For anything above that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I do have it first because I do feel like there's 2 races that were one going wire to wire. I didn't have a chance to go back and look at those 2 races, but I would suspect that those horses had some sort of pace advantage versus the relative to the rest of the field. Fairchild does have a pace advantage here. It's going to be on the lead, field full of closers. I don't think he's going to have to work very hard. And I think maybe the horse can get to the front, stay to the front, but I hate the odds, especially for a horse that's going to have a lot of horses chasing it. If it were a deeper field, I'd even be more concerned. But because it's one of the shorter fields in the card today, I do think that helps it out as well. Viberundum, I guess. I do have to respect the fact that the horse has a second in the Kentucky Downs race. It was at the distance, too, so 1 5/16 miles. So you don't have to worry at all. She can run that far. Last time out did show some improvement early on. Federalist Paper, so we had the same 3 horses, just a little bit different order. Made up ground late in 5 of her 8 races. The post positions look like the longer, the better for Federalist Papers. Won easily at 1.5 miles, 2 races back. And then finally, number 5, Russian Mafia. Has a plus late pace advantage over the rest of the field. Very consistent performer when you look at the speed numbers for this horse. I do worry about the distance, but she does tend to run her best fresh, like today. And along with your best bet today, Tom, our friends over at the Picks with the Professor Sides puts out his best bet every day. Yesterday's best bet was the Dodgers. That was an easy winner. And they were the Dodgers getting a 1.5. That race, they won. So far, the Professor Sides on the play of the day, 43 wins, 22 losses, a $19 up $19 our units, 23.8, so 24% ROI. Today's going to go with a heavy favorite with the Guardians from Cleveland. You went to stop at a Guardians game on the way home from Saratoga, right?
Yes, I did.
How was that stadium?
I liked it a lot.
So today they're going to place he's going to play the Guardians. Big heavy favorite. If you want to look at something other than a big heavy favorite, down in the description here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever it is that you follow us socially, you will see a link to the full YouTube show in case you want to bet something other than a -173 Guardians. I think they're probably a pretty good bet to win as well. Race 4, Tom, at the Kentucky Downs. Again, 1 mile. As I mentioned, a lot of these races are 1 mile, 6.5 furlongs today. Real quick recap. 1 mile, 22 races, most of which were won from off the pace. You have a 1 rail winner. 2 and 3 have really struggled, so it looks like you want to play away from the inside 3 horses. If we take a look at the race 4, again, we got a lot of maidens in here, so we don't have a sense of or a need for the pace worksheet. Tom, how do you like race number 4?
We should also point out that the average win price is $13 in this type of race,
Mm-hmm.
and a $64 exacta has been the average at Kentucky Downs.
So it looks like you want to bet like 5 to 1s next to each other, huh?
Yeah, this should be some good pays today, and I'm looking for that. With that, I took number 6. Mendel's Secret is my top choice. Got a series of really good works coming into this, and this is another one that I think was targeted for the race at Kentucky Downs.
Mm-hmm.
Sire was a very good turf runner, and Stud Curry's just really getting started, but his first-time starters are winning at a 19% win rate. Mare ran okay. She had 3 wins and 9 starts, but her foals have done very nicely. She has 8 foals. 6 of them are winners, and many of them are turf winners. But none of them won on debut. So that's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, this one and the breeding, because we go back and look at it generationally and some of the other horses that were out there. This one has horses like Stormcat, Seattle Slew, My Charmer, Raise a Native, Icecapade, Bold Ruler, Secretariat, Northern Dancer, Great Lady M, Mr. Prospector. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation of this horse, there's a lot there. And we'll see. The thing, as I said, this scares me is, of course, none of the foals have won off their debut.
Okay.
Donegal's Factor, number 4 is my next choice. I like the last work in Indiana at 59-3. Before that, the works are good, but this one really stands out. Sire, of course, was a grade 1 winner on the dirt, among other races. He ran at sprint distances, and he ran long. He's produced a whole bunch of good runners. But his rate on debut 2-year-olds on the turf is 9%. So, got to think about that. The mare won once, and she ran 23 times. And this is her first foal to race. But this is a Brad Cox, Florent Giroux horse. So I always got to perk my ears on these ones, especially for a first-time starter like this. Number 7, the Red Fox, is my final choice. There's nothing in the terms of the works that are really outstanding. But they did move the horse from Saratoga to Churchill for its final works, which I find interesting. So they're definitely had this track in mind. Sire, of course, was the champion turf horse, and the list is really long of how many graded stakes winners it's won. Purels at this win also at a 9% debut rate. The mare never won. She started 5 times, but she is by Kitten's Joy, who has more than a few good turf horses. And with that, this is her first fold. This is a Chad Brown first timer. So he's got 2 of them in here, and I went with this one.
So for me, I look at this race. It's interesting. We have some. Did the 15 or 16 get in time? Because you got scratches and I did it. They did not. All right. So let me go ahead and adjust this real quickly. So instead of the 15 and the 16, I have the 2, 7, and 4, which is accurate. But again, over at horseracingtoday.net, I will have all of the picks. But the 11 horse, Margaret Burbage, debuted at 30-1 on a $104,000 non-graded stakes race. So I agree with you, Charles, a horse to look at in here. Clearly the bettors and Wesley Ward believe that they have a good horse here. We'll see if that's the case. Number 2, Evaluate, is a Chad Brown first-time starter. By far the most expensive horse in the field at $310,000. Some really nice works in there, so we'll see if it can live up to that price tag. The number 7, the Red Fox, as you mentioned, Florent Giroux and Brad Cox. I think that's his.
No, it's Red Fox's Chad Brown horse. The 4 horses. Donegal's Factor is
Is that the Chad Brown
Brad
horse?
Cox? Yeah, no. Chad Brown has 2 horses in here. You pick the one, and the other.
Oh yes, the 4 horse. Yeah,
the Red Fox is the other one.
All right, so the Red Fox I put my notes in the wrong place. So the Red Fox scratches into here for me. The 4-horse is the Brad Cox horse with Donegal factor, and as you mentioned, the Florent Guru, Brad Cox angle in here. Him putting Florent on this horse, the duo wins at 30% together with a 69-cent positive ROI. I think that tells me that Brad told Florent, we got a shot with this one. Race 5, which closes out that early pick 5, Tom. This one is 6.5 furlongs, 23 races, 17 went off the pace, 2 of which went wire to wire. Again, only 1 win from the rail. Somehow the 2 and the 3 are the best post positions, which I find kind of interesting. I don't know how the rail can suck, but 2 and 3 do well. But it's the quirkiness of the track, I suppose. Again, if we take a look at the pace worksheet for race number 5, this race is pretty evenly matched out here. We do catch a left arrow horse in here with the 8-horse. 8-horse, in addition to being a left arrow horse, also has, as you can see here, the O has the best combination of early pace and late pace. 10-horse catches the second in that regard. All these squared off horses are horses that should get paces that they're comfortable with, put them in a spot in the track where they have a chance to win. Again, these deep fields, just about anything can happen. So race number 5, Tom, is my long shot of the day. I'm going to take a crack with the 8-horse, risky reward. This is where I'm going to step up, call my shot, take my swing here. As I said earlier, I like PC horses on the day at Kentucky Downs. This one's dropping in class, does have the best early pace, late pace combination in the field. Ran a couple times at Kentucky Downs, has a second and a third, both of which were at 6.5 furlongs. And if you just look at the record at Kentucky Downs, it's tied for the best pace numbers in here for me. You must have seen the same thing because it looks like you have the 8 as your top pick too, right?
Well, I tossed the last race out at Keeneland. I didn't. That whatever went wrong, went wrong. So it's had a layoff since April. It won 2 races at the fairgrounds at lower levels. Its latest works are Keeneland, and the 47-1 breezing was very good. Ran third in a stakes race in Kentucky Downs last year. This one should be on the lead. That's why I think where your positioning was interesting, because I think this one's going to be out front.
Mm-hmm.
This is
what I do with the positioning is I just look back at how they've won races in the past, not how they're running recently, but how they've won in the past, because I feel like that's the winning trip for them, especially if you see like they win from the same position over and over and over again.
Okay.
So the 8-horse has had the ability to win from a pressure position where he's close to the front. If you also look, he's done all right in the back as well. So I feel like he's got a shot to be positioned wherever he wants to be on the track.
Yeah. I mean, the only concern for me here is this is a little bit of a step up for this horse, but it does have experience over the track, which has got to count for something here.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I wanted to point out that the winning average dollars is $21. The exactas are $80 or average. And one of the other things that I stuck out to me when I was looking at that was the average speed ratings of the winners has been 86. So these should be some pretty quick horses, relatively speaking. And with that, I took number 6, Amalfi Princess, my next choice. Set the pace with the pace last out in Saratoga. It was a bit wide, moved forward, and then it ran 5th by about 4 lengths back. That was 1 mile, 2 turns over the inner turf course at Saratoga. She won at Belmont at an optional claimer of 62.5. Raced up front with the pace and went very nicely. They shipped her to Canterbury for a stakes race, and she ran second there. She has won at Kentucky Downs in the past. And this is Mike Maker, who likes to place his horses very smartly. That's probably why he sent him to Canterbury. And this looks, again, she's won here, so don't know why she couldn't do it again. Finally, I took number 2, Red Ghost. Ran second in stakes last time out at Monmouth, even though it was a bit wide. Made the lead and then got caught. 3 races this season. It hasn't won yet, but it's placed second once and third twice. But she's never won on the turf. I'll keep that in mind on this one. Does have a win and a grade 3 at Pimlico last year. That was the Miss Preakness. She's raced 2 years ago at Kentucky Downs. She was the favorite and she won off her maiden, and she did absolutely nothing in the race at Kentucky Downs. So third, I think is a good spot for her. First, that no turf wins bothers me.
Yeah, it would bother me too. So as I mentioned, the reasons why I like risky reward as my long shot. Number 3 recorded, it was a lot better pace numbers last time out. So if you look at the beginning of the race, the middle of the race, the end of the race, all the internal numbers improved. Did wind up running the top last race speed figure. If you look at the off dirt record, and the turf record, says she should really like the grass. Does have a run at Kentucky Downs where he finished second. 2 runs, actually. 1 second in there, the other one off the board. Number 4, Social Chatter. One that's only Kentucky Downs race. And I feel like at this quirky track, some experience at the track is probably useful. Maybe not always be useful, but if it's proven that it can handle the weird course, it's, I think, a plus for a horse. This horse usually runs shorter than it runs today, but the past performance numbers look to me like, when I examine the races, that 6 to 7 furlongs is probably the ideal distance for Social Chatter. And then Amalfi Princess, this one has run at Kentucky Downs twice, both of which were at the distance, has a win and a third in those 2 runs. Cut back in the distance does look like it should help here. Though you mentioned Michael Maker. I do like Michael Maker as a trainer, but it seems like he and Tyler Gaffalione aren't the best duo. They've run 30 times together, only managed to win once. So for me, I'll bet against a 97. I'll take the 97. I'll bet against a 3% angle any day of the week, Tom. It's just, I'm a numbers guy, and I don't know if it's just because they don't team up that often or they're not on the best horses. They get weird runs, but 1 for 30 for me is a number I have to play against. All right, so at the top of the show, you mentioned, Tom, that the pick 5s pay a crazy amount of money. So what was that number again? The average pick 5?
Last year they paid over $40,000.
Every single one, you said, right?
Yeah, they were all, the average, I think, was $43,000 was the average.
Not bad. So Tom kind of, sent me for a loop this morning, because I'm expecting the prime rib pick 4, and instead I get the prime rib pick 5. But hell, if it pays over $40,000, it's a loop worth traveling. So
that's why I decided to cross you up a little and do that, because I thought when I saw those prices from last year, I'm going, I think we should swing it big.
Man, let's take out the Louisville Slugger in Kentucky and see what we can come up with. All right, so I have some scratches in mind. I think the 15 in race number 2 is out. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I'm going to go 9, 5, and 7. I think everywhere else I'm safe, because in race number 4, where I did have some also eligibles that scratched out, I don't have them in there. So Tom's going to try to. His weak link is race number 3, his best bet. My weak link is race number 4 with the 11, and which is funny because Tom doesn't even have the 11 in his pick. So let's see how it all plays out. Yours is $96, Tom. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And mine was 81. I should have probably put another horse in there somewhere, but I did it.
Well, yours went down because you lost one horse too.
Which one? No, the 15?
15.
No, I'm gonna replace the 15 in race number 2. Yeah, with the 7. I'm gonna go 3, 3, 3, 1, 3. So that's the way I'm gonna roll with it. Mine is $81. Fingers crossed at the 11 that I'm right, that the bettors in Wesley Ward debuting in a non-graded stakes race, catting bet down to 3 to 1 is a sign that the bettors and Wesley think they have a pretty solid horse in that race. We're gonna find out, Tom. Race 6 is a mile on the turf. Again, we've gone through the profile of a winner. Closers usually do well. You kind of want to stay away from the rail and the 2 and 3, so the anti-3 bias. This is, let's see, do I have my, yes, race 6. Again, I think this is a good, smart place for you, Tom, to do your box it up, because it's one of the shorter fields on the card today. This is a pretty balanced race too. If you take a look at how all of the different horses lay out, how they run their best, you'll see that it's pretty spread out between horses that can get to the front, horses that are in the back of the field. We do catch a left arrow horse in here, which are quickly becoming some of my favorites. You see here also has the 01. which means it has the best combination of early pace and late pace. I do like that. The 8 horse, again, getting squared off, meaning it should be on the front, and does have almost a plus advantage at 4 furlongs. So at 4 furlongs, the 8 horse should be maybe as much as a length ahead of everybody else. Got a lot of horses here with some late legs. This is going to be a fun race. It is Tom's Box It Up, Tom. So tell us why you picked these 4 horses and this race.
Well, I should point out this is a starter allowance race, and the average win price has been $18 on this horse, $83 for exactas, and the average speed is 77. So that's what I looked for. And with that, I took National Security as my top choice. Just has 2 races. Nice pace, both of them. Maiden win at Indiana, and then went second at Ellis. Both races were at 1 mile. Started out in a maiden claiming 25, so the starter allowance places where it can't get taken is a nice spot. And I think this is a good horse for this type of race. Number 7, Wicked Genius is my next choice. Won at the $75,000 level last time out at Churchill, going 1 mile and a 16th. And it was the favorite in that race. Has a layoff, 9 works, all coming are good, I think. And I like those there's 2 races that's 2 works that stick out. It's the 1 minute breezing and 1 minute 3 breezing. Ran in a maiden sprint at Kentucky Downs last year and lost by 1 length. He was claimed for 50 in April at Keeneland and won the race. Run the race right after that. So again, another one who's been up against maybe a little better company in just recent past, but it probably fits with this type of starter allowance. And finally, I took Path to Success as my final choice. That's the number 1 horse. Has plenty of speed and has shown it in the past. Third last out, and it was taxed in that run up in that race. I like the draw of the inside. I think that helps this one because of the way it runs. It's run better at Alice than it ran at Hawthorne, but definitely it likes that type of thing. It's a dirt winner, and I think it can hang on here.
And you have the Peninsula.
Let's also keep in mind that when you start 6 furlong or any of these races, you go down first, and then you hit this long turn at Kentucky Downs, and then it's uphill going into the finish. Mm-hmm. So we don't have a lot of racetracks that are like that.
Not many.
The only one, Santa Anita, goes downhill, but not uphill. And so it can tax those front runners if the ground is heavy. But we're supposed to have fast and firm. So being firm and firm to good to firm. I think the front runners will be able to hang on and get something, if not win. And you have to do the Peninsula to clean up your. Peninsula is my throw in for the Superfecta. For the Super. All right. So for me in race, that's the one that's going to win. Probably because you don't have any comment on it. But anyway, race number 6, I like National Security as well. Left Arrow horse, as I mentioned in the pace work book there, does have the top combination of early pace and late pace. Last time out, the horse was a little bit better early on, so I do like to see that improvement in the early part of the race. It's making its second start off the bench for trainer Brad Cox, who wins at 28%, second off the break. Number 7, Wicked Genius. So we're starting the same way here. Tom makes me a little bit nervous. Trainer Michael Maker dropping the horse here after a win. He's done that 6 times in 2022, brought home the big check 2 races in a row 3 times, so 50% winning angle, only 6 times. It's not the best in terms of deep data, but still pretty good. Being a starter allowance, it can't get claimed out of it. And does have some, and it does have some nice workouts between races, so I like that. Number 5, Ronstadt. I'm not the biggest fan of horses rising off the maiden claiming win like this horse is today, but does have the most late punch in the field. Does have some of the better combination of early pace and late pace. So I do think the 5-horse Ronstadt can be tactically placed and then use those late legs at the end. And trainer Larry Ravelli hits at 33% in his third start off a layoff. So I feel like
he was targeting this race with this horse. And my last and final choice in race number 6 is number 6, Bonus Appreciation. Did run some better fractions last time out at 7 furlongs versus 6 furlongs in the previous start. One of my favorite things. Does have a bullet workout sense. Another horse that could step forward in his third start off a layoff. So you saw a really sharp race. You saw it backed up then with a bullet workout. I really like that combination of works, that series of events as well. Race 7 is, again, 1 mile on the turf. We've gone through the profile of the winner a bunch of times. We know you want to stay away from the inside. Race number 7, again, this is a really balanced race, Tom. You see a lot of horses in here from the that can come from off the pace, pressure the leaders. The 4 horse is likely to be your pace setter in here. That's why he's boxed off. We do catch another left arrow horse with the 10, being the one with the best early pace, late pace combination in there as well. Should be able to run a little bit closer to the front without needing to run too hard or put in a lot of extra effort. Just normal race will move him closer. But there is a lot of horses in here that have similar late pace numbers. So I really think positioning in race number 7 is going to be huge. So I guess in your world, Tom, that would be what you would call a jockey's race.
Yes. And also with a nice big field like this, we find in the past with this kind of an allowance race, the average win price has been $18 and an exact has been $83. But the average speed rating is 88.
Oh,
so these are generally some little quicker horses in this type of an allowance race. And with that, I did take the one that hasn't raced this year, number 7.
It's your long shot too.
Top choice. Oh yeah. But his last race was at Kentucky Downs, and guess what he did?
Baby. Yes, indeed.
He won a big stakes race, about it was a $700,000 race. So that's not chump change. And with that, he's got 7 starts, 3 wins, and they've all been on the turf. I think to win, he needs to be in the front, and that's where he's been the best. And I think that's where he'll be. And with that, the work suggests he's ready. And if this isn't targeted, I don't know what would be targeted, because you would think they'd start it before. They obviously think they want to save the horse for this race because it did well last time. And dropping it into an allowance race, which is curious too, because this is only a $180,000 race. Only.
Still pays for a year's worth of bills if he takes home the W.
Yeah. Well, whatever wins, right? With that, number 12 is my next choice, Spa City. Has 1 start on the turf, and it's been a while, but it ran 3rd. It's got 20 starts on the dirt, 6 wins, 3 seconds, and 5 thirds. He was claimed for $80K 2 races back, and they wheeled him back at Indiana to win for a nice stakes race. Did okay in that race. He ran 4th. He moved forward, and then I would refer to him flattening out. Well, he just didn't finish. He's bred for the turf. Everything says right. His breeder was Godolphin. They do have some decent horses, and interesting one that they also sell them too. So some people get a nice little sometimes get some nice horses. So I like the money angle on this one, and I also like the single turf start, and I think this is a good bet. Finally, I took number 1, Therapist, as my final choice, and made a move in the last race, and then it got blocked. Had to alter course, but still finished 3rd, and that was at Belmont. Placed 2nd in a minor stake at Belmont, going 7 furlongs, also on the turf. Has no wins, but he's placed twice this season in 3 starts. I would have put him on the top, but he hasn't won in 2 years. And that just doesn't put me want to throw this horse on top, but it has been placing in the money, and that's the way I'd like to play it.
Yeah, I had some of the same concerns with Therapist. I'm taking the credit. The 7 horse year long shot, my top pick as well here. As you mentioned, major drop in class, $700,000 stakes race last time out, was at Kentucky Downs. But it was a year ago. What I do like, though, is he has the bullet and go. So the last workout before going back to the track is a bullet. Barry Meadows, the bullet and go is a very good angle. It is an alpha angle. So I think that bullet workout indicates that Accredit is ready to come back to racing after almost a year in the barn. Number 6, Max KO, is the second choice for me, is one that does have some experience at Kentucky Downs, running there once, collecting or making the trip to the winner's circle in that spot. That win was almost the same exact pattern as today in terms of the horse ran, took a break, and then comes back to run at Kentucky Downs. Same exact pattern, I think, if I remember correctly, for trainer Joseph Safi Jr. I love patterns when I look at horses and cycles. Horse has also done fairly well at the distance, 9 times out, 3 wins, a second, and a couple of thirds. Therapist, as you mentioned, Tom, really wanted to rank this one higher, but that lack of productivity in terms of winner's circles trips really does kind of scare me off. That's probably why they're running it at the lowest level in more than a year. Consistently puts up better speed numbers than just about any of the other horses in this field. But not only has the horse not won, it's getting the rail, which doesn't win at 1 mile on the turf at Kentucky Downs. Number 9, Runnin' Ray, trying grass for the first time. Probably not the easiest place, I think you'd agree with me, Tom, to try turf for the first time. But the horse has run on an off track 7 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. And off dirt can be an indication of a horse that will like turf as well. And when you look at the fact that the horse ran its best speed number on an off track, that says to me the horse should like the switch. And we'll find out, right? And that was race number 7.
Yeah, we're
number
17
8.
minutes away to the first race.
Yeah, so we've got to kind of maybe pick up the pace ourselves, right? We've got to pick up our early pace figures. Race number 8 is a 6.5 furlong affair. 6.5 furlongs, 23 races, 17 went off the pace, 2 going wire to wire. Again, we see the rails are kind of a crappy place to be. 2, 3 run the best. 8 gets a bonus. 4 through 7 struggle a little bit. If our pace worksheet can help us out here, let's see if indeed it can. This race is very even. It's almost a what would you call that? I forget what they call that in a what is it when they're both balanced on the both sides? I can't remember, Tom. I can't remember math. Anyway, you see they're all pretty well balanced out here. We do catch a 5 horse in here that is a left arrow horse, which I do like those horses. Should be moving forward. But you see here that a lot of the horses that get to the front do have some of the best combinations of early pace and late pace. Over here, the 6 horse does catch a plus late pace number. One of the few horses in the fields today that do have a solid late edge. And as a result, I'm going to make that 6 horse, Tom, my best bet of the day. Hey, Kitten. One of the few, as I mentioned, horses that does have a advantage late in the race at a distance that does favor horses that have late kick, does have the top early pace, late pace combination in the field, has run 6.5 furlongs at Kentucky Downs. And you know where that horse ended up, Tom?
Not in last.
Nope, in the winner's circle. All right, so how do you like this race here in race number 8?
Well, we should look quickly at the average win price is $21. Average exact has been $80. And with that, the speed rating has been 84. So these are generally some quick horses. And with that, I took number 5 plus Chic, the one you liked with the left arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Started its career at Arlington last year and won that maiden, and then came back in a stake race and ran 4th. So remember, those are all weather. They took a layoff, came back at Tampa. They dropped it down into an optional 25 claimer, ran 5th, and it went off to the favorite. Another layoff, returned to the dirt, and ran 5th, and did press the pace in that race. I think this is more of a turf horse than a dirt horse. And with that, it had a 59-2. Which I liked. Is a nice little work. I do want to point out this is a 3-year-old facing older horses. So, yeah, sometimes it can be an advantage and sometimes it's not. Number 8, Shannon, is my next choice. Missed last time by a half a length and a nice allowance sprint. Won its maiden start at Keeneland. really put up a nice number in that race. Didn't race in 2021, but did race in 2020. And its first 2 races were decent races. So I'm going based off that last race, which I like, and the works. And this horse likes to finish. So with that, and then we have Brad Cox and Florent Giroux is teaming up in this one. So that's why I thought this one had a nice chance. And my final choice will be number 261. Set the pace in the last race and stakes race in Indiana and went the other way and ended up 7th. Best efforts have been in allowance races with a win at Kentucky at Churchill Downs over the mile turf, but that's that turf that we don't know is so great right now, so I don't know how to 100% rank that race. She's won on both surfaces. And she's only won once at this distance. She's raced at Kentucky Downs before and ran 4th in an allowance race last year. Got 2 works coming in. She tends to want to be in the front, and this is a bit of a speed favor, and she's going to have to overcome that 2 spot because that's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the 13 did draw into this race. And because the silly name, and I just threw it in there. Why not?
Gotta love the silly names. Yeah. All right, for me in race number 8, Hey Kitten, as I mentioned, best bet of the day. I think it's like 5-1 too, so I'm happy with that as the best bet of the day. Number 9, Fast as Flight, maiden special weight winner in the last race, hasn't run since February. Ooh, a little bit of stuff there that I usually don't bet, but the horse has usually been well bet, so it's obviously a solid horse. Is 1 for 1 at Kentucky Downs, so it does have a trip over the course and did win that race. Excuse me, that's the wrong. That was the 6 horse. Does usually well bet on the 9 and has run in the money on turf 4 times, 2 seconds and a third. Number 8, Shannon. I also like that horse. Trainer Brad Cox, 28%, taking home the top check in the second start after a layoff. Was the favorite in the last spot, and the win rate goes up even more when the favorite's beaten, winning at 31% for Trainer Cox. And I think the extra furlong really helps Shannon in this spot. Finally, number 2, 261, one of the top last horses in the field with the best early and late pace combination. That combination ended up putting together the top last race speed figure. Race 9, we're going to see the 1 mile and 70 yards for the first time on the day today, Tom. This one is the $400,000 FanDuel Tap It Stakes for a purse of $400,000. You know, this is really weird to me, Tom, in race number 9, because when you look at race number 9, you see 1 mile, 70 yards turf. All these other turf races, you see that they have a bias against speed. Well, they ran this 5 times last year. 4 of them were won by speed. 1 went wire to wire. Every single winner, Tom, wore a 4 or out. There were some scratches in this race. I had the 5 horse in here. It has since scratched out because the scratches are now out. So I had a chance to take a look at that. So my box it up is going to be a little bit different than how we have it in here. So you can see the 5 horse was one of my left arrow horses. No longer in the race, did have some really good combination of stuff here. 12 horse does have a plus late pace. I don't know if that helps at all, Tom, considering that the horse is, the distance has gone 4 out of 5 to the 11 horse does have early pace. I wanted to put that horse in there. I really wanted to put that horse in my box it up, Tom, but couldn't put it in there because it kind of faded a little bit and had been running against weaker company. So my box it up, instead of the 5 horse, the 4 horse moves up into the 3rd spot. I am going to start with In Love as my first pick in here. In Love has been running against much, much better company than any of these other horses. So I feel like the horse is going to find this competition be a little bit lighter. 1 for 1 at Kentucky Downs does have that late pace edge. Number 1, Ramsey Solution, rides the rail. Probably not the best thing for this horse, but if you look at the past performances, can literally quite win anywhere on the track from the front, the middle, the back. I love that kind of versatility. Did run better fractions at 1 mile and a 16th last time out versus 1 mile, the race before that. 4 Piece Achieved, the 3rd horse in here, been off for a year. It's the 2nd time We're going to see a horse that had a long break, but did have off for a year. Came back to run the race of its life last time out. Top last race, speed figure, went to the barn, a little bit of rest coming back for race number 2 off of that long layoff. I am concerned about a bounce because of the big number increase, but the workouts have been pretty steady, pretty much in line with what the horse did before, running that big number. So maybe just found a new form after a year in the barn. Number 6, Flora Form, does fill in as my 4th pick in my box it up instead of the 5 that scratched. 4 horses, $1 exacta box, 50-cent trifecta box, 10-cent superfecta box. Tom, how do you see this stakes race playing out with your selections?
I started with number 4, Peace Achieved. It's got 1 race this year. It was a 4th, and there was some trouble in that race, trying to get position, but it did move up. And as you said, it ran a big number.
Mm-hmm.
I like the works, and it looks like that works have matched what it's did on the racetrack. Much improved. It is a grade 3 winner at Keeneland in 2019, and it's had less success in other graded stakes type company. But it did after it ran at Kentucky Downs before, and it has won here. So I'm willing to take a chance based that its form is going up and not going down. In Love scares me, but it really has had 3 awful races, and that's why I think they're dropping it into a non-graded stakes. There's also incentive to race graded 1 stakes horses at Kentucky Downs, but this isn't one of them. I'm going to put it in, but have a lot of feeling that this horse may be not running the money based on its last effort. Yeah, it's in grade 1 company. It's running against some really good horses, but it's also really not doing a damn thing. So I'd like to see a little more forward motion, and its works are not great. I mean, overall, I don't know what its full pattern is on works, but I didn't see anything really outstanding. Got the outside post that shouldn't hurt it, but that first turn does cause some of those horses to lose a few lengths. So position will be important. Finally, I took number 1, Ramsey's Solution is my final choice. One at Gulfstream last out, 4.5 lengths. Nice effort, even though it was bumped hard in that race. It was transferred to Joseph Saffey, who does know how to race horses. Has a good record in stakes races, and it has won at Kentucky Downs. This is one where I was trying to figure out its running style, and I couldn't because it's run various ways and done okay. So that's not a bad thing. He run at this distance before Kentucky Downs and has won. So that makes a big deal. And the Ramseys have been leading owners at this track in the past years, and this is a Ramsey horse, and they like to win here. And so that makes me have to take notice of this horse.
All right, so I went through why I boxed up my 4 horses in race number 9, the last race on the card, the nightcap. Race number 10, 1 mile on the turf, maiden, $150,000. Special weight, you do have the $150,000 purse as well. Again, we find a lot of horses here that have a lot of same late pace numbers. So I do think this is going to end up being one of those races again, Tom. That's a jockey race. Got a few left arrow horses in here, horses that can get close to the front without doing any additional work beyond normal. The 12, the 11, the 7. Interestingly, the 7 and the 12 also carry some of the best early pace, late pace combinations in the field. 7 horse catching some of the best late pace all by itself. You got some arrows in here. You got a lot of horses in here, Tom, that are actually stepping up in class. So I think a lot of those horses could really struggle against this quality of field in terms of some of the other horses in here. So we'll see how that all plays out when they hit the track. We have not one horse. No, we have one horse that matches the 3 horse. Other than that, we're completely different. You like the 4 horse as your top selection. Please tell me why.
I took Heir to Greatness as my top choice. 2 races, both times lost position in the running and then kind of ran on and finished 4th and 5th. I like the prep works for this race. I'm thinking maybe the 3rd one will be the winning effort. He's tried both the surfaces, and he's got his jockey changed today. So I think, why not?
Mm-hmm.
The races aren't, I don't think they're that bad, but they're not great. But we got, again, interesting field, and I think this one's a price. Number 3, Growth Capital is my next choice. Ran towards the lead last out at Saratoga. Got bumped a couple times, and yeah. This one is one of those that likes to run second. It's done it 3 times. Okay, we'll try again. And it's a short price Chad Brown horse. So have to think about it seriously in this kind of a race. But I don't like the second-itis on the win side. Finally, I'm going to take number 12, Levity, is my next choice. And that appears to be improving off those first 2 starts at 6th, and then it ran 4th. It's made a move in that first race, but frankly, it was way too far back. It was more forwardly placed in its next start, and it was a much better effort with that 4th. I think he's got a great chance to hit the board here. He's outside, yes, but I don't think that will make a difference. He's coming at the end. He's just got a matter of grind it out, and I think he can get a placing here.
All right, I'm going to go with number 11, the Blue Devil. This guy, Left Arrow horse, as you saw in the pace worksheet, does have really strong combination of early pace, late pace. I can be tactically placed in this race, which I like. Just missed last time out, was the 71-cent favorite. So clearly the horse has been doing pretty well. The horse ran better fractions last time out, and I think you'll see it step forward in race 2 off the bench. Growth Capital missed as the favorite for trainer Chad Brown, as you mentioned. Rebounds at 28%, Mr. Brown. But, as you mentioned, the horse likes to burn money because he's been the favorite in all 4 starts. Number 7, Axlim, maybe, was well bet in its debut. Good work's getting ready for race number 2. And if you look at those turf pedigree numbers, the score just absolutely dominates this field, smokes the next closest horse. The 6 horse is my final pick of the day, scratched into this spot, but Tolkien missed by a head in its last race, and this time around it's going to catch a 10-pound or a pretty big weight break, 6 pounds up to 10 pounds compared to some of the other horses in this field. And that weight break would have been enough to make the winner's circle last time out. So that's why I like the 6 horse in that spot. Again, we close it out with our hot dog pick 4s, which I think at this rate, at this track, hot dog pick 4s are almost funny. But here we go. Tom's going to go straight $8, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So he has got the Noah's Ark of pick 4s. As for me, I'm going to go 3, 2, 2, and 3. I hope that I can catch a price in there somewhere as well. That's our hot dog pick 4s. Again, let's take a look at our full picks. Mine are all adjusted now for all the scratches. Tom was able to find them before the show started. I could not, but all the full picks in there are correct now. Scratches accounted for on both sides. Tom's best bet is in race number 3. My best bet is in race number 8. Tom has his long shot in lucky race number 7. My long shot is in race number 8. And interestingly, I find as much disagreement as we have on the day, we both picked the same horse as our top choice in our long shot races. The box it up for Tom is in race number 6. So he has 3, 7, 1, and 2. I got the 12, the 1, the 5, and the 4. And then, again, the 5 scratched in that race. So it's going to be, instead of 12, 1, 5, 4, it's going to be 12, 1, 4, and 6. As Tom mentioned at the top of the show, the pick 5s, you have to play there because all of them paid over $40,000. For me, race 2, slight change. Instead of the 15 horse, I have the 9, the 5, and the 7. Tom's picks are accurate. We're both singling up a horse somewhere. Tom with the 7, me with the 11 in back-to-back races. And again, our hot dog pick 4s look like this. If indeed today you're going to play over at Horseshoe, Indianapolis on the Kentucky border, you might want to look at our picks over guaranteed tip sheet. Horseshoe Indianapolis is the free track of the day. There is a link in the description here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however it is that you follow us. Make sure you use that so they know where you're coming from. Race number 1, Boot Daddy Justice, is the top choice for us today over at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Tom, it's been kind of a long show tonight. We're going to be back. Hopefully, it'll probably be done faster. Not quite sure who our guest is going to be. But at 9:30 tonight, we will do the Player's Edge podcast, focusing on Del Mar with the Pacific Classic, the last 3 races of the day, all stakes races. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the surprise of who is our guest tonight, Tom. Woo! Any final thoughts before we get up out of here after an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah, well, we knew it was going to be a long one because there's a lot of stuff in this. And it is post time at Kentucky Downs for the first race. So we'll see what happens.
Well, no matter what happens, Tom, be it the first race, the last race, Horseshoe Indianapolis, no matter where it is that you're playing today, or in your day just in general, we hope that no matter what it is, that it ends up in one place, Tom, and that place is the
only place, the winner's circle.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you tonight. Tom and I will not be back for Foreign Fridays tomorrow. That's why we did Kentucky Downs today.
This is foreign.
This is foreign. Chris P. and Eddie C. will be back together on Saturday for the final day of their at Saratoga in terms of their spot plays. So make sure you check that out. Good luck at the track today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you tonight.